Chicago Grand Slam ups the ante of the classic Chicago card game with the elegance of a unique game board and rule set loaded with more strategic depth and replayability. Let's learn to play Chicago Grand Slam. Start by placing the game board in the middle of the table. Each player chooses a color and takes the corresponding pair of pawns, a boss and a runner, and places them on the green C space. Each player also takes a space and score table. During the game, the boss will always move along the outer ring, while the runner moves on the inner ring of spaces. The runner must be the first pawn of yours to reach the goal space. The first time you play, it's recommended that you play a shorter quick start game by placing the boss and the runner on the red C space. Shuffle the deck and deal each player a card. The player drawing the highest value will act as the bank for the remainder of the game, managing the coin supply and the out-of-play Chicago cards. The player drawing the lowest value will be the first dealer, taking the dealer button and the deck. If you started the game on the green space, each player starts with 3 coins. If you decided for the shorter game, each player receives 5 starting coins instead. And now you're ready to play. Chicago Grand Slam is based on the classic Chicago card game. By playing your cards at just the right moment, you will try to make the best poker hand, but at the same time attempt to obtain the Chicago card and get both of your pawns to the goal. All spaces have different benefits and traps, so after you move a pawn you can use this space table to check what happens. The game is played over a series of rounds, each consisting of these 7 phases. Each round starts with the dealer collecting all the cards and shuffling the deck. Each player is dealt 5 face-down cards, 1 card at a time in seed order from the left of the dealer. Players look at their cards and may not reveal them to others. Don't forget that the dealer is also dealt into every hand. Then, in seed order, each player chooses any number of cards in their hand to discard face down and immediately replace them with the same number of cards. The goal is to get as good of a poker hand as possible. If you're uncertain about what hand is better, you can use the score table as a guide. This first exchange is made by everyone except those whose boss is on an X space. Anyone who is allowed to exchange but decides not to must pass instead. When everyone either has done an exchange or passed, a player who has made a hand they wish to announce may do so now. The player reveals only the scored cards and then move their pawn according to the score table. Remember, you don't have to reveal your cards if you don't want to. When moving pawns around the board, beware that there can only be 1 pawn on each space at the same time, except at the green and red C spaces. If you move your pawn to a space where there is already a pawn, you will push the other pawn 1 step ahead. This can cause a chain reaction. If you have to go backwards to a space where there is already a pawn, you push the other pawn 1 step backwards. If you are pushed to the fee space and you're out of coins, you have to move backward 3 steps. But no pawn may ever be moved further back than the start space. Then it's time for a second exchange, and everyone whose boss is not on an X or a 1 gets to participate. A boss remaining on the start space will always get a second exchange. No points or steps are given in this phase. After the second exchange, you do a third one, but this is only done by the players whose boss is on a 3 space. If the deck runs out of cards, no more exchanges are possible. When all exchanges are done, you move into the buy phase, where you can improve your hand. This works similar to an exchange, but with some added benefits. In seat order, a player may pay 1 Chicago coin for a card that is revealed to all players. It's placed face up in front of the player who paid for it, and that player then chooses whether or not to just discard the card, or to replace the card with one from their hand. The card from their hand is placed face down, and the bought card is added to their hand. The card on the table is then discarded, still face down. This phase continues in seat order with 1 card purchased at a time, until all players have passed. It's okay to pass in the buy phase and then choose to buy again, as long as not all the other players' actions were to pass before you. If the deck ever runs out of cards, no further buys are allowed. And then it's time for the play phase. At the start of this phase, everyone has the possibility to announce Chicago, and we'll explain what that means in a little bit. But if no one announces Chicago, you'll do a showdown. In seat order, starting with the player to the left of the dealer, each player will play 1 card from their hand face up in front of them. Whoever plays the first card and opens the trick indicates with their card the suit that the other players must follow, if they're able. If they do not have a card with a matching suit, they may play any other card they wish. In each trick, the player with the highest value card that followed suit of the first card, and including the first card, will win the trick, and then starts the next trick. The player who wins the last trick will move 5 steps forward with one of their pawns. And with that, you've reached the end phase. Only the player with the most valuable hand will earn points after the showdown. In case of a tie for the best hand, see the score table for point values and other scoring situations. After scoring the best hand, all cards are returned and the dealer button moves 1 step to the left. Reshuffle and begin a new round. Continue playing until one player has won. But, like we said, at the start of the play phase, in seat order, a player whose runner or boss is on or has passed the red C space may say Chicago. That means that they must now win all the tricks in the showdown as the challenger. If someone announces a Chicago challenge, they get a Chicago card, if they don't already have one, and this play phase ends immediately and is replaced by a Chicago phase for the remainder of this round. Those who cannot or do not want to announce a Chicago challenge must pass instead. Only the first player in seat order to announce Chicago will be the challenger for that round. The Chicago challenger gets to start first in the showdown and must win all 5 tricks to succeed. As soon as the Chicago challenger loses a trick, the challenge has failed and the Chicago showdown ends. If you start on a green C space, you must do at least one Chicago challenge in order to win. If you started the game on red, you can challenge with a Chicago, but it's not mandatory to win the game. If the challenge was successful, the Chicago challenger wins 15 steps forward. The movement may be distributed freely between the 2 pawns. No other points are awarded. If you succeed with the Chicago while standing on the Grand Slam space, and you win on a 2, you instantly win the game. But if the challenge was a failure, the Chicago challenger must move 15 steps backwards with their leading pawn, or runner if the pawns are tied. No other points are awarded. If you miss the Chicago or are forced to go backwards for some other reason, you have to, once more, reach or pass the red C space with the runner or the boss to re-challenge a Chicago. You can say Chicago several times as long as one of the pieces has reached the red C space. The first player to reach the go space with both of their pawns and who has obtained the Chicago card will win the game. However, don't forget that a player's runner must always finish before their boss. If a boss makes its way around the board to the goal space before that player's runner, the boss is moved back to the red C space as a penalty. If you end up on the finish line with the runner and still have steps left, you must use those steps with the boss. When the boss reaches the goal, however, it's enough to end up on or pass the goal square. Once your runner makes it to the goal space, the piece is out of play and you cannot backtrack. The boss have to reach the red C space to be able to make a Chicago challenge when the runner is out of play. You also win the game if you stand on the Grand Slam space with your runner and win a Chicago challenge with a 2 in its last trick. Second place bragging rights are awarded to the next player whose boss is closest to the goal space. And now you know all the rules to play Chicago Grand Slam.